Good night. It's the 10th of Nullig 2023, the 10th day of December 2023. Conor McGregor part 3. Very short video on my update. I see all over the papers and other places mentioned that Conor McGregor's first reaction was to try and change the plight of our country by political means. On that, he and I are at one. Excuse me, I've still a bit of a cold. We're at one on that. We agree that protesting, out marching, and all of that is futile. We're dealing with a core of politicians which are not even their own bosses. They have no courage and they have no brains and they don't care twopence about their country. By today's paper, a lot of Fine Gael TDs, the senior TDs, are pulling out. They're not going forward again. They're sick of the whole thing. Dail Elections is only a talking shop, and they haven't the courage to stand up to Brussels or anywhere else. Now, Conor McGregor then and I diverge on the best policy forward, and he was talking, and it's on the media, that he's thinking of running for Uachtaráin na hÉireann, President of Ireland. In my humble opinion, that would be a colossal mistake. Number one, the President of Ireland is not like the President of the United States. It's merely a type of ceremonial occasion. It has a constitutional role. And bills passed in the Oireachtas, that's the Dáil and the Senate, go to the President for signature. And as a general rule, he has to sign them. If he fails to sign them, it has to be on a point of law, and he can refer them to the courts. But more or less, if he didn't sign a bill, let's say there was a bill on banning some type of weed killer, and he refused to sign it, you would create a constitutional crisis. And this is dealt with at length in a book by John V. Kelly, the late John V. Kelly. But that's the Constitution. Anyway, the Irish Constitution gives certain rights and privileges and protections, and then it goes on to say these can only be removed in accordance with law, which hands certain amount of our rights back to the Irish Oireachtas or the Irish Parliament. In any event, to become a president, and if he were the president, what would it achieve? We see in many of the roles, like the royal visit, the visit of the Queen to Ireland, the funeral of Shane McGowan, the 1916 Rising commemorations and all of that. President Michael D Higgins, although he's a lefty, slightly woke, he's not totally woke. He is quite achieved in areas of the arts and areas that reflect Irish culture and the Irish diaspora worldwide. And he is suitable enough. He is not a total disaster in that role. In any event, he's silent on many of these things, and he has to be. I don't see the idea of trying to replace him by Conor McGregor to have any merit at all. To become president, Dana, do you remember Rosemary Scallon? She had to go around the county councils of Ireland. She went down to Cavan County Council, and she sat outside waiting for them to pass a motion, and she had to more or less beg them to give her a nomination. I wouldn't beg them villains. I wouldn't beg them for a drag on a cigarette butt, because I do not like them. Now, in order to change, have a Conservative president, we'd nearly have to change the whole Oireachtas, and that would take time. The president would have to sign anything we would put in. If I got our parties into power and they made laws wiping out the entire green climate change, renewable energy agenda and throwing it all in the bin, President Higgins or his replacement would have to sign it. He would have to sign it. Now, so I wouldn't worry about the president. It's a bit like the king in England. It's somewhat similar. But it's not the same as the president of Germany, the president of France, the president of America. They're executive roles. They have executive power. Our model is based on the British system, and some other countries have it. The same, Belgium, I think, has it. I think Sweden has a queen and king. They're only ceremonial roles. I'd forget about them. If Conor were to run for the Dáil, which is the lower house of the Oireachtas, the upper house is the Senate. I think the next time round there'll be about 162 seats in the Dáil. There's currently 158. The Senate has 60. There was a promise to do away with it, and as you can see, it's full of woke women. They're appointed by the colleges and the schools and the politicians. So going to be a senator is no use either. But there is one core political power in Ireland, and that is the Dail elections. Each constituency has either 3, 4 or 5 seats, and the candidates run. The only barrier is if you want to not to have to pay a deposit, you have to get the signatures of a certain amount. I think it's 500 people, and they have to be electors on the register. And the returning officer will check them out. So that's one way. And once you get that, you're in. The second way is you pay a deposit, and it's not that big. I think it's about €220. It'd be only chicken feed to Conor McGregor. So you pay your deposit, and if you get a quarter, it's less. I think if you get a quarter of a quota, we say it's a 5-seater, if you get a quarter of the total amount needed to elect one TD, you get your deposit back. That's to stop a big long list with hundreds of people on the ballot paper. And also, as you know, if you didn't have some blockage for the presidential elections, you'd have 8,760 names on the ballot paper. It would be unmanageable. I don't have a problem with the present system that much, but particularly for the Dáil, you pay your behaviour deposit. And another way is if you're a member of a political party which has a certain amount, I think it's 7% of the vote at the last election, then you can get in without paying any deposit. Okay, if you're a member of a party, you have to have a form completed by the party to prove you're a member of the party. All of that is fair enough, and it is not a problem. Several people, like the Healy race, 2 of them ran in one constituency in Kerry and got in. Tony Gregory in Dublin North got in. Sean Dublin Bay lost us. It's fair enough. It's a fair enough system. What Conor McGregor should do is select a few working class areas, like the North Inner City, like out there around Clondalkin, out there around Ballyfermot, and those areas, and even some of them maybe like Lucan, and where there's concern about migration, and run himself in one, not one where he'd be sure of getting in, and run other candidates under his umbrella that he would endorse in the others. I would be thinking maybe of something like Mrs. Brown in Mrs. Brown's Boys, that type of character. But you need to be very careful in selecting candidates. If they do a lot of community work, they could be woke. Catherine Sapone was big into community work. It was mainly fake, in my opinion, and she was woke. Catherine Murphy is woke, and she's into community and all of that. You want to watch these that are not woke. You want to get people who are basically conservative and that do not believe in filling the country full of migrants, which believe in sensible education policies, good old traditional policies, good old Irish policies. And you want to be sure of it. Luke Ming Flanagan is proof of what can happen when a person appears to be community-based, appears to be a good man for the cutting of turf, and is merely after a handy income. Someone told me he's gone over there, lock, stock and barrel, family and all, and the kids are going to the best European schools, and he's not probably going to ever return to live in this country. I'd like him to contact me and tell me if I'm wrong, and if he can correct me, I will issue a video in which I'll correct everything, because I'm not privy to running over after him wherever he's going. The point about it is, the Dáil is the place. I've suggested to Conor McGregor that there are two parties, the Irish Freedom Party and the National Party. Generally speaking, the view of both is we don't run candidates in each other's constituency. We leave each constituency to each party. They're very closely related. There's your choice. Or run as an independent on the immigration issue and other working issues. And try to realise, as I have made the point, that it's us and them. This isn't a point of overall inclusive or this or them. It's the woke, it's the other parties that want to destroy our country, and it's us. It's the traditional conservatives, of which I constantly bleat on about on this channel. Nobody can stop Conor or anyone endorsed by him running for the Dáil, whether they like it or not. I'd no more go begging Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, Labour, Greens or anything else, county councillors, to endorse me for the presidential nomination, right, than I'd take my own cat and eat her. I wouldn't lower myself to them creeps or to ask them for anything. If I got elected to the Dáil, the first thing I'd tell them is get out of my way. And when I'd meet them in the corridor, I would not stand aside. I'd plough through them, women, men, the whole damn lot. And I'd insult them and their mothers and their grandmothers at every turn. And that's the way to handle them. You don't give them even a half an inch. That's how you deal with your enemy. You don't placate them. And that's how Conor McGregor needs to deal with our enemies, is by running for election for Dail Elections. It is now a disreputable institution. But don't forget, among its founding members was Big Mick Collins, Arthur Griffith, even De Valera. He was still a member, whatever you think of him, and many more. So it's really been loaned out to the woke left, and we should be claiming it back. Folks, that's my view on the efforts by Conor and what he may do, and I wish him luck. And if he does nothing, I think nothing the worse of him. Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and we'll see you back for something else. Thank you.